Hello and welcome to the first video in our cyber security series. My name's Kevin Large and I'll be your instructor for today's session. What we're going to do today simply is we're going to make sure that we can install Kali Linux in VirtualBox. So the very first thing that we need to do is of course obtain Kali Linux. So I'm going to type into Google Kali Linux download. Take us to the official Kali Linux download site. And here we can see many different versions of Kali Linux. These would be ISO images that we could burn to, for instance, a DVD, and we could actually boot the system off of there, or possibly even a USB stick. We've got 64-bit versions, 32-bit versions, lightweight versions. There's a version here for the ARM processor, the Advanced RISC Machine processor. There are different versions with different desktop managers. LXDE, Mate, KDE, XFCE, that's a particularly nice one. What we're going to look for is we're actually going to look for the VirtualBox images. The VirtualBox images are available over with those lovely chaps at the Offensive Security VM download page. So I'm going to follow the link to the Offensive Security VM download page and we'll see what we can find. Now these images will have a default password of Tor, so a default user of root and a password of Tor. We've got our VMware images, and a little bit further down we can find our VirtualBox images. So if you've installed the Oracle VirtualBox virtual machine software, which is a free download, will run on Linux, Windows, Macintosh, wonderful piece of software. These are the images that you need to use. Where are we? There we go. So Kali Linux VirtualBox images. Now I'm going to be using a 64-bit processor. This is Kali Linux version 2019.3. It's a 3.4 gig download. It's quite a big download. You'll notice that we have a SHA-256 sum hash here, so we can check the integrity of our downloaded file. Very important thing to do if you're downloading an operating system. So what I would now do is I would click on that link and simply download the file. However, in time-honoured fashion, I've already done that to save some time, so rather than wait for a 3.4 gigabyte file to download, here it is, pre-downloaded. What we can do a quick check of that SHA-256 sum. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to right click in my file manager. Obviously I'm on a Linux machine here, I'm actually using Manjaro Linux. I'm going to open up the terminal, and in there I'm going to type ls-l, get a nice long listing. You can see our Kali Linux OVA. It comes across as an OVA file, so this can be opened, imported directly into VirtualBox. That's actually measuring the size in block size, so what we'll do is we'll use Thor, nice easy one to remember, and what Thor will do is it will give us it, among other things, in human readable format. So there's our 3.4 gig download. I can also type file, and file will tell me what it is. So it comes up as a POSIX tar archive. It's actually an OVA for VirtualBox. And now what we'll do is we'll do a SHA-256 sum to check the integrity of this download. This is quite computationally intensive. So even though this computer's actually got a Intel i7 Extreme processor, 6 core, with hyperthreading, that's 12 cores, 32 gig of RAM and two 500 gig SSD drives, so it's not exactly a slow machine. It did take a bit of processing. Well, we can see here that we have a hash. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to compare that hash against the one that's on the Offensive Security downloads page. So in other words, this one here. I'll copy that in fact, and what we'll do is we'll simply paste it underneath the other one. Okay, so there's one. I'll hit the Control-C key and I'll take a copy of this one, which is the one we computed. Paste that underneath, and it's simply a matter of checking to make sure they are absolutely 100% identical. If they are identical, it means that your download has come over completely safely and securely, not corrupted in any way, shape or form. So there's an integrity check for a download. Excellent. Okay, so we're Can be pretty safe in the assumption that that's a good download. Now what we can do now is I could actually probably right click on that and open it with Oracle VirtualBox, but I'll show you the other way as well, which is go into Oracle VirtualBox, go to File, go to Import Appliance, and then it's just simply a matter of finding that particular file, which is a good question. I'm just trying to remember where exactly I put that file now. I think I put it in Downloads, didn't I? Downloads, ISO images. There it is. Kali Linux 2019 3A VBox AMD 64-bit AMD or Intel processor OVA file. We'll open that. Click on Next. And we don't really want to change any of these settings. We can leave the settings pretty much as they are. I can see that they've given it 2 GB of RAM, so you might have to be careful if you're running on a system with very little RAM in it, but there's plenty of RAM on this machine, so we should be good to go. So you can change these settings if you wish to, but be careful what you're doing. I would only change the RAM. I noticed they've given it 2 processors as well, which is nice. Let's see, do we want to change any MAC addresses? We'll generate new MAC addresses for all the network adapters. It's normally a good idea to do that. Okay, and then we'll click on Import. Now this is unusual. When we're importing an OVA file into Oracle VirtualBox, it seems as though it's going to take an awfully long time, but then all of a sudden it goes really, really fast and takes hardly any time at all. Obviously this sort of job is much faster if you've got fast SSD drives in the system. I'm using 2 Samsung Evo 850 SSD drives, and they are extremely quick, so that does actually help in doing a job like importing the virtual disk image. Okay, we're nearly there. Another thing it sometimes does is it sits on 99% for an unbelievably long time in comparison to how long it's taken to do the rest of the import. Done. So now we don't need to worry about going through an install. We've literally just imported a pre-built version of Kali Linux straight into the system, and those nice guys at Offensive Security, they've built this for us. And in the description we can see that we've got the username of root, the password of Tor. It's using a US keyboard layout, but that's not a problem. So we'll give it a go and see if it starts. And it doesn't. Implementation of the USB 2 controller not found because the USB 2 controller state was part of the VM cannot be started to fix this problem. Install Oracle VirtualBox extension pack or disable the USB 2 support in VM settings. Okay, I don't have the extension pack installed in my VirtualBox here, so rather than do that, just to speed things up, let's see if it will actually start if I just say use a USB 1 controller. That is going, I think. Yep, that's going. It started. Okay, what I would do is it's useful having a USB 2 controller set up. USB 2 is much faster than USB 1. So what I would do is I would actually go off and install the VirtualBox extension pack, which would allow me to have the USB 2 controller. But that was a quick way of getting around a potential problem. So if you ever see that problem, just have a little look at the description, see what it's telling you to do, and you should be able to fix it fairly easy. So we're going to root with the password of Tor, and we should be good to go. You'll notice that the guest editions has been installed on this automatically for us, so as we can resize the screen. And look at that, there is your Oracle VirtualBox running. The only thing I do need to fix is I need to install the VirtualBox extension pack so as I can make use of the USB 2 controller. But for the moment I'll just run it with the USB 1 controller selected, and that should give me a fully working system. 3-m, there's my memory utilization, df-h, the utilization in the file system. Let's have a look. Who am I? You are logged in as root, IPA. Let's have a look at my IP address. Now look at that. 10.02.15. They've actually set this up using NAT. Now I would recommend you don't use NAT. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually shut this down. We'll power it off. And I'm going to take the network controller and tell it not to use NAT. Tell it instead to bridge it to my network interface card on my host system on the laptop that's running VirtualBox. This is the wired network interface card that connects me to the internet. So I will bridge it to that, and that way it will show up as a real system on my network. Okay, we'll start it back up again and see what it's got to say. Kali Linux, by offensive security, it is without a shadow of doubt one of the finest security distributions going, and anybody who wants to get into network security, cyber security, they need to know how to run Kali Linux. We'll do a root, we'll do a tour, and we're up and going. And now what we should have is we should have a proper IP address on the system now, because it will have gone off to my router, which is running DHCP, Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol, which will have handed out an IP address on my network. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm actually going to change your preferences and make that font size just a little bit bigger so as we can see what's going on a little bit easier. There we go. So IPL will show you the layer 2 data link layer information, basically your MAC addresses and the fact that your interface is up. So I've got an Ethernet interface and a lookback interface. If I do an IPA instead, it will give me my layer 3 information, in other words the IP address. And there you go, I do have a proper IP address now. My wireless network at home is 192.168.50, and it's given this machine .76. Excellent. That means effectively I probably can now browse to the web. Let's have a little look. Bum, bum, bum. Whoa, look at all this late information, vulnerability, web apps, wireless reversing. So much useful stuff. Okay, I don't know why it's doing that. It's made a bit of a mess of those icons, I must admit. Let's try that again. Okay. I think what I do need to do is I need to install the VirtualBox extension pack, because I think that'll also help. So Chromium web browser. Nope, Ettercap. Ettercap's fun, but I don't really want to run Ettercap right now. I tell you what, let's do it from up here. Usual applications. Internet. Chromium web browser. Okay. So of course we're running in a virtual machine, so it's not going to be quite as fast as if we were running it natively. However, that said, the nice thing with a virtual machine is if you break a virtual machine, it's not really a great deal of a problem. You can normally fix it without too much of an issue. Okay. Doesn't look like it likes Chromium there, does it? Let's try Firefox. Oh yeah, Firefox is fine. Okay. I have noticed this sometimes with Linux. Chromium can be a little bit finicky, but Firefox looks like it's working absolutely fine. BBC News. Quick way of testing to make sure it's working properly. Yeah, all looks good. All looks good. That's working then. Okay, so that's how we install Kali Linux in VirtualBox, making use of a OVA file, which is a pre-built VirtualBox image. I hope you found that useful, and pop back for our next installation of cybersecurity videos. I'll shut this down and I'll sign out for now. Many thanks.